Welcome to our channel. Rwanda-backed rebels in eastern Congo say they plan to take their fight to the capital. Goma, Congo. Rwanda-backed rebels who captured eastern Congo's largest city said Thursday they want to take their fight to the far-off capital, Kinshasa, while Congo's president called for a massive military mobilization to resist the rebellion and his defense minister rejected calls for talks. In a video message, Congo's defense minister Guy Kabombo Mwadi said he has directed plans for any dialogue with the rebels to be completely burned immediately. "We will stay here in Congo and fight. If we do not stay alive here, let's stay dead here," said Mwadi, a close ally of Congo's president.
During a briefing aimed at asserting their control over Goma and parts of South Kivu province, the M23 rebels expressed willingness to engage in dialogue with the Congolese government, a proposal also backed by the East African Regional Bloc, which includes Rwanda. However, their ultimate goal is to seize political power, according to Corneille Nangaa, one of the group's political leaders. "We want to go to Kinshasa, take power, and lead the country," Nangaa declared, though he did not specify how they plan to advance the 1,500-kilometer, nearly 1,000-mile, journey to the capital. Meanwhile, Rwandan President Paul Kagame stated that he had discussed the situation with Angolan President João Lourenço, who is mediating the conflict and recently met with Congo's leader. Kagame emphasized that both he and Lourenço are committed to working with other African nations to help de-escalate the violence and find a resolution to the ongoing hostilities.
President Donald Trump described the ongoing conflict as a very serious problem when questioned on Thursday, but refrained from providing further comments. Meanwhile, a United Nations spokesman voiced concern, stating the agency is disturbed by reports that Rwandan forces have allegedly crossed the border toward areas where M23 rebels are advancing. According to UN experts, the M23 rebels are backed by approximately 4,000 Rwandan troops, a significantly larger force than in 2012 when they first seized Goma. The group is one of over 100 armed factions fighting for control in eastern Congo, a region rich in minerals estimated to be worth $24 trillion, crucial for global technology industries. As tensions escalate, Congolese President Félix Tshisekedi has urged young people to enlist in the military, strengthening the national defense. At the same time, neighboring countries have called on the Congolese government to engage in dialogue with the rebels. In response, Rwandan President Paul Kagame issued a warning, stating he would deal with any confrontation involving South Africa, which has protested the loss of South African peacekeepers due to the ongoing violence in eastern Congo.
In his first public remarks since the M23 rebels advanced into Goma on Monday, Tshisekedi vowed a vigorous and coordinated response from his forces to push back the rebels while reaffirming his commitment to a peaceful resolution. On Thursday, he met with French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot in Kinshasa, the Congolese presidency said on X, noting that France has provided significant support to Congo in recent UN meetings on the issue. Congo expects a little more action in the face of this crisis, it added. Dead bodies, looting in Goma remained largely without electricity and water on Thursday, as the bodies of several alleged government soldiers lay in the streets, horrifying residents, including children. M23 rebels escorted some 2,000 government soldiers and police officers, who they said surrendered, to an undisclosed location, some of them singing anti-Tshisekedi songs. The UN humanitarian coordinator in Congo said basic services are largely paralyzed in Goma, a humanitarian hub critical for more than 6 million people displaced by the conflict. After several days of intense clashes, the city is now faced with massive humanitarian needs and severely impacted response capacities, said Bruno Lamarquis, the humanitarian coordinator. Footage from Goma showed residents carrying food items and goods looted from stores and warehouses in the city. This is something that is going to exacerbate a dangerous cycle of violence as desperate times call for desperate measures. The UN World Food Programme Emergency Coordinator in Eastern Congo, Cynthia Jones, said Thursday.
Fear grips South Kivu as rebels advance. Following their takeover of much of Goma, M23 rebels are now advancing toward Bukavu, the provincial capital of South Kivu, sparking panic among residents, witnesses reported on Thursday. Nene Bintu, a civil society leader, stated that gunfire and explosions were heard in Mkwinja, a town 86 miles, 135 kilometers, from Bukavu that has already fallen to the rebels. The Congolese military has been significantly weakened, as hundreds of foreign military contractors have withdrawn, surrendering their weapons to the rebels. Residents in Goma described seeing Congolese soldiers discarding their uniforms and weapons, crossing into Rwanda, or seeking refuge in foreign peacekeeping bases. One youth leader, speaking anonymously for security reasons, revealed that military bases in Bukavu have been largely abandoned, as troops have been redirected to reinforce Nyabibwe, Bushishu, and Nyamukubi, key locations along the path to the capital.
Regional leaders push for M23 talks amid rising tensions. As tensions escalate, a summit of the East African Regional Bloc has called for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire in eastern Congo, urging President Felix Tshisekedi's government to engage in dialogue with the M23 rebels. However, Tshisekedi was notably absent from the virtual summit, which included Rwanda, a key player in the conflict. While African nations, the United Nations, and the United States have all pushed for an end to hostilities, analysts warn that the risk of a regional war is increasing due to the rebels' expansion into South Kivu and heightened tensions between Rwanda and South Africa. The crisis is further complicated by Congo's dual membership in both the Southern African Development Community, SADC, and the East African Community, EAC. Last year, Congo expelled the EAC peacekeeping force, citing its ineffectiveness. Meanwhile, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa directly blamed the Rwandan Defense Forces for the ongoing violence, which has led to the deaths of 13 South African peacekeepers. He vowed that his government would ensure South African troops are fully supported in their mission to stabilize the region. His comment drew an angry response from Kagame, who called the South African peacekeepers a belligerent force working alongside armed groups that target Rwanda. If South Africa prefers confrontation, Rwanda will deal with the matter in that context any day, the Rwandan leader said on the social media platform X.
Who are the M23 rebels, and what do they want? The M23 rebellion is deeply rooted in long-standing ethnic tensions stemming from the 1994 Rwandan genocide, in which 1 million Tutsis and others were massacred by Hutu militias. The group claims to be defending ethnic Tutsis in eastern Congo, while Rwanda argues that Tutsis in the region face persecution from Hutus and other groups involved in the genocide. Following the 1994 genocide, many Hutus fled into Congo, further complicating regional dynamics. Unlike in 2012, when M23 briefly occupied Goma, analysts believe that a withdrawal this time will be much harder, as the rebels are now more entrenched and supported by Rwanda. According to Murithi Mutiga, Africa Program Director at Crisis Group, the current crisis is largely due to the failure of African-led mediation. He notes that Rwanda has felt ignored by Congo's government, which it accuses of failing to uphold past peace agreements. The warning signs were always there, Mutiga explains. Kigali adopted increasingly aggressive rhetoric, and Kinshasa responded with equally hostile language. This breakdown in diplomacy, combined with deep-seated grievances, has further fueled the M23 rebellion and increased the risk of prolonged conflict in the region.